Okay, we're now on episode 13, and we're still in Haggai. We're going to be there for a while. I'm sorry, I should say Haggai. I don't know why I say Haggai. I don't know. Anyway, what you see on screen is going to be our next big clue in Luke about the introduction to Chanukah, which is the 25th of Kislev, in a passage that twice specifies Haggai going to Zerubbabel and the son of the high priest on the 24th of Kislev, which at sundown becomes the 25th. It's very witty. And in order to introduce this next clue, which is in this phrase right here, because that's how the angel Gabriel greets Mary, and that's how Luke is leading it off. We have to look at how that phrase is used in the Bible. And so what I've just done here on the left-hand side, I've got a bunch of verses on the right-hand side where the phrase is used. And not all of them really are that phrase. But on the left-hand side here, where I'm comparing is the Greek. This is what the angel is saying. It is translated, I am with you. Or the Lord is with you, literally, because it's the angel speaking. Whereas above it, the blue above it, is in Haggai 1:13. And that's we had left off at verse 12, and now we're going to verse 13 to pick up the trail of fingerprinting whether or not what Mary says, as we're going to see, and what Zechariah says are targeting Haggai 2. That's what I'm leading up to here. We got our cast of characters that are the fingerprint match, but we're going to have to get more matches than that to be absolutely sure. So in order to, trace this out, this is like, CSI, forensic searching. On the right-hand side of the screen, you've got a bunch of verses that use that phrase, all of which are not really using that phrase in the Greek. But here it is, see? But it's differently phrased, and this is really important because the Bible is really, one of the things I've learned in the last 10 years is that God makes extensive use of wordplay, and He He expects you to know the grammar rules to get the joke, to get the meaning, to get the inference. And what's really pathetic is that we Christians are so disinterested in the Word of God, we don't want to know these original words. And you're missing out on a banquet, I'm sorry. I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever that this is the Word of God. Because I'm looking at it daily now. At least for the last 10 years daily, last 11 years, in the Greek. And I was taught to do that by my own pastor, who exegeted the Bible for his congregation for a period of 50 years. But like most Christians, I was pretty disinterested at first. So I didn't get into it right away. But I got into it slowly, and then by the time, I lit on fire 11 years ago, I was able to buy Bible Works, and this stuff was just old hat to me. And if you look at this, and the window blanks when I do this highlighting, if you look at this, you'll notice that the phrasing, ego ime met humon, this is the plural of you. If you look at this, you'll notice, even if you can't read Greek, that the letters are not the same as a phrase translated the same here. First of all, this word "ime" means to be, and it literally means I am, is not in here. So this is more dramatic. In Greek, when you omit the verb, it's more dramatic. This literally says, the Lord with you. So in English, you would translate that, the Lord, comma, with you, exclamation point. But of course, they tame it down because they think that God, in order to be majestic, has to be boring. And really, the NIV captures some of the flavor better, because at least they give you the exclamation point right here. All right? And of course, this is so snoozy. It's one reason I don't use the KJV much, although it is good to use for literal tracking of the Greek. Okay? So, the Lord is with you. The Lord with you is how that ought to be translated. That's a very different construction, even though the meaning is the same. That's a very different flavor of construction from this. All right? First of all, and this is really important to say, because Christ uses this in John 8, Elohim, that's John 8:58. That's the way they translate the sacred tetragrammaton in the Greek. I am. He doesn't always, when he says this phrase, I am with you, he doesn't always phrase it like this, as we're going to see. Here, he's stressing the fact that he's God when he says it, because he's putting Elohim first. Elohim. Ime. Ime is the modern Greek. It's Ime in ancient. Sorry. Okay? I've been watching too much Greek TV. Ime. Ime. Met humon. Okay? To phrase it this way, and you're going to see there are different ways he phrases it. To phrase it this way is stressing the fact that he's God. And the reason why he's stressing the fact that he's God is, as you've seen before in the context, he's trying to encourage them to start rebuilding the temple. And we're going to cover this more later. We just want to go through the phraseology of this, I am with you. All right, here it's differently phrased. Here the angel is talking, and he's just saying, the Lord, comma, with you, exclamation point. It's got the same idea. Okay, as we're going to see, when this phrase is used in the Bible, it's used about maybe 12, 15 times. When it's used in the Bible, there's always implicit beneath it that something's going to happen that's going to make you either afraid or want to turn away. And so the encouragement is anticipatory, in advance. Okay? And that's why you have in Luke 1:29, see, she was very perplexed by this, wondering what kind of salutation it is. In other words, this phrase is used in the Bible as a result of you're going to get some bad news. There's going to be something that's a problem. There's going to be something that's going to worry you or be a threat. And so, Elohim metumon is to encourage you, buck up. So she's expecting bad news, because he starts out his greeting that way. She's expecting bad news. Greetings, favored one, the Lord is with you. This is to encourage her, because what he's going to tell her is bad news, and it is. Hi, you're unmarried and you're going to be pregnant and therefore be a pariah the rest of your life. That's the news. I mean, how would you feel? Okay? When something's really coming from God, it's always two-sided. And the good part is always afterwards. The bad part is always up front. So that's why you got this kind of start. Okay? So let's find out how this works. Okay? So here we are, and there's your backdrop in Haggai, but I'm going to cover that up for a minute. We're going to go through these verses because not all of them apply. Okay, let's see if I can get rid of the... Okay, that one does not apply. That's not God talking, and it's not really saying, I am with you in the sense that the passage means. This one, however, is. Okay? See, don't fear because I'm with you. See, this is an appearance, to Isaac, to buck him up. All right? And so, here's where it is. Look at that. Here, he's saying, with you, because the word gar means because. Okay? Literally, it's going, with you, because I am. There's no ego. If the word ego, meaning I, were there, he'd be stressing himself. In other languages, unlike English, you don't really need the pronoun most of the time, because the verbs have endings that tell you who the person is that's speaking. And I means I am already by itself. So you got meta, su, with you, because I am. See, the word order is different from what we're used to. All right, but this word always comes after the object. Okay, it's called postpositive. And here he's not stressing the fact that he's God. He's stressing the fact that he himself personally is with Isaac. See the difference in the stress, the difference in the phraseology? Versus up on top in Haggai is Elohim, I am. I, the tetragrammaton, am with you. He's stressing his godness in Haggai. Whereas in Genesis, he's stressing his personalness. In other words, Isaac already knows that he's God. The encouragement to Isaac is that God is personally with him. Personally. So he's stressing his personalness by the phrasing that he's using at the bottom in blue. But in Haggai, the issue is the godness, the God who defends Israel, because they're not building the temple. And they're not building the temple because of all the opposition they're getting from the Gentiles. And so he's stressing his godness role as the judge, the protector, all that good stuff. Okay, as you're going to see when we go back through Haggai. Okay, so now we have another construction. I am with you. See, that's the word for behold, idu. Now he's using his personal pronoun, but no verb. Ego medasu, I with you. That's the same construction as the angel uses in Luke 1. Only it's first person because the angel's not talking, God himself is talking here. I with you. He's stressing the withness. By leaving out the verb, he's stressing the result. The relationship between subject and result or object. Depends on, but this is the apodosis. This is the prodosis, as it were, and this is an apodosis. First part of the sentence, last part of the sentence. I'm using prodosis and apodosis in the very loose sense of the term, first and last. So he's stressing the withness. I with you. He's not stressing his office, and he's not even so much stressing personalness as the togetherness. All right? And that's to Jacob. See, and that's why this next phrase is real important. In other words, I'm always going to be here. Because this is the situation again. When God says words like this phrase is used, there's always some fearful situation, some problematic situation. In this particular case, it's Jacob's dream, okay, at Bethel. And, is he really on the right road? Because, Jacob had sort of, Jacob means chiseler, and he had chiseled Esau out of his inheritance. So, Jacob's aware of his own guilt there, even though he did it at the instigation of his mother. He's aware of his own guilt. All right? Next instance. This is what your pastor does. This is why being under a pastor is so important. A good pastor is doing the kind of stuff that you're seeing done here. That's how I learned to do it. Because my pastor did it. He told us about how he got what he got. And so that's how come I know the mechanics. This is what a good pastor does. And that's why you need to get under a pastor. Everything I'm showing you, I learned either the mechanics or I learned the words or something from my pastor. This is what he did, and then he told us what he did. A lot of people, they sit under pastors, and they actually don't know where the pastor gets it from. They just trust him because he sounds good. Okay, well then you're not really learning the Bible on your own. A good teacher will teach you how to learn too. You learn something, but how do you learn? How did your teacher learn it? Where is he getting his interpretation from? And what are other interpretations that might go against it? Because you know what? Once you leave that pew, you got to go out in the world, and everybody's brother's going to have a different idea than you do. How do you know that the idea you got is right, and what might be wrong with it, where it might be vulnerable, or where it might need refinement or improvement? Because every idea needs improvement. It doesn't matter how right you are. And most every idea's got something wrong in it. You better know where that is. Okay, well, here's how I know. And now I'm showing it to you, so now you can repeat it. So you can give a man a fish or you can teach him how to fish. And a good teacher will teach you how to fish, and that's what I've learned. All right? So look, here's our next expression. This is to Joshua. They've just entered the land. Okay? They're coming into the land, and he's affirming that he's with Joshua. Joshua needs bucking up because they got to go beat up the Gentiles, namely the Greeks, the original Palestinians, the only Palestinians. The word Palestinian means Peleset, and that means Greek, and it was coined by the Romans. There's no such thing as an Arab Palestinian. They never existed. Okay? This is him bucking up Joshua. Okay, so look. Katoti. Okay, this is the way he was with Moses. Okay, he's equating. Katoti is to equate something. All right? So, here he is. See? That's Jesus. That's where we get Jesus. It's Joshua, Jesus is a transliteration. Jesus, that's the actual Greek word for Jesus in the Bible, in the New Testament. All right? All right, but here, all right, here's the Lord talking to Jesus, a.k.a. Joshua, when they first entered, on the day that they first entered the land. Okay? He's going to be with him, but there's no phraseology. Okay? He's saying he's going to begin to exalt. This here, exalt is this. I'm exalting you before the eyes of everybody in Israel in order so that you may know, they may know really, that with you, as I was with Moses, and here's the part where it's with you. Just with you. There's no I, there's no I me. Just with you. This is a little more dramatic. And that's Greek economy of language. He doesn't have to say ego I me metasu. He just needs to say metasu. And we saw that same construction, that short construction in Luke when the angel's talking to Mary. All right? Next verse. Samuel 14:7. Again, this is not one of those that are relevant. Okay? That's the armor bearer. These are the two people talking to each other. That's not God talking, so we leave that out. Because I searched on the English in order to find all the variations in the phrasing. Because you can't search on that in the Greek, because I don't know all the variations in the phrasing. All right? So then this also is not relevant. Okay, this is two people talking. Okay, but this one is relevant. This is Isaiah, God talking. Okay, see again, same phraseology as the angel used. Okay, metasu. It's shorthand because the whole phrase is this, which we've seen before. With you, stressing the witness, because I am. Literally, these are the literal Greek words. All right. This thing is coming out of place because it's a grammar rule about where this has to be placed in Greek. So, because I am with you is how you would translate it in English. The phrase, the placement here is just a grammar rule about where you're supposed to put that word, even though that's not its meaning. Okay? But it is clever, and that's something God takes advantage of. This is what I mean by wordplay and how you know this is truly the Word of God. Look, with you, because I am. That's not the meaning of the Greek. All right? The meaning of the Greek is, you read it the other way around. It's just considered inelegant if you put this word first. It's just a rule about the way sounds are supposed to fit together. Because with you, I am, is the way the Greek person would read it. This is just, we don't want the word gar at beginning a sentence. They think that that's gauche to do it that way. So they always put it, in the middle. So it's metasugar, ime, rather. Okay? But the meaning is as if this were first in the phrase. But God is playing with that grammar rule. See, with you, because I'm God. In other words, I'm with you because I'm God. He's playing, he's tweaking. He does this all the time. It's no end of fascination to me how he does this. He's tweaking the grammar rule by turning it into a reason to be with Israel. With you, because I'm God. Okay? That's not the way the Greek sentence reads. The Greek sentence is actually, it's for I am with you. Just like that. Just like we say it in English. That's the meaning in the Greek. But he's taking advantage of the fact that there's this petty grammar rule about the sound of words. And so he strengthens what he's saying by putting I, me afterwards. And like I said, look, he doesn't always do that. See, here we are, Haggai up at the top. Haggai met him. That's what he could have said. But he doesn't. Not here. So he's stressing. He's stressing his own fealty. And he's tying it to his own nature. It's kind of an oath. All right? I wish I never had to do anything but study Bible. This is more exciting than anything you can name. All right. Here we are again. Metasuime. That's the simplified. Okay? There's no gar. It's hoti. Hoti means because. Okay, and it comes first in a sentence. It's used also to denote quotation marks. It leads off. It's allowed to lead off a phrase. In fact, it's supposed to. Metasuime. Notice he's putting the metasu in front, whereas above here in Haggai he's putting egoime in front. I am God with you. I mean, you don't need the word God there, because egoime is the translation of the Tetragrammaton. That's the wit of it. But here he's stressing, with you I am, which is the more normal construction. Because with you I am. Alright? With no ego. You don't need the word ego there. You don't need the word I. It's just, he's stressing that he's there. He's not stressing the fact that he's God. Okay? And here we go again. Okay? Metasu. Now see, this time he's using ego. With you, I am. You're supposed to, especially in Greek and Hebrew, when you see the pronouns used, they're stressing. They're not always used. Sometimes it's used for clarification. But, see, hoti is used again. Metasu, egoime. I'm with you. Okay? And this time he's reassuring Jeremiah. You'll notice in each case that we're going through, there's bad news. That's why this I am with you is being said. Okay? And again, same construction, again stressing I, and of course he's still talking to Jeremiah. They will fight against you. They will not overcome you, for I am with you to deliver you. The ego is what gives that stress. Okay? And you'll notice, egoime, he's putting the with first. It's in the opposite order of Haggai passage above. He's putting the egoime second. In Greek, you often do that to stress. You often put something at the end of a phrase or a sentence to stress the thing that's at the end. With you, I am. Okay? Jeremiah 15:20. He said a lot to Jeremiah. And that's our next big clue that this thing in Haggai is related to Hanukkah, because Jeremiah and Haggai were I don't know if Jeremiah was still alive at the time. But both of them were prophets about the temple going down. Jeremiah beforehand and Haggai afterwards. But Jeremiah maybe was dead by then. Should have been dead by then. So that's 520. Unless Jeremiah lived to be very, very old. I'd have to go look that up. Okay, so our next thing is metastu ego, ime. Ime, rather. Ime, not ime. Ime is modern Greek. That's standard. There's no, the ego is omitted. Okay? Because he's stressing this part. The saving. Save you, deliver you from danger. See, somebody who doesn't know about the word save is saying, oh, I didn't know Jeremiah wasn't saved. No, hello. When you see the word save, you have to ask what kind it is every time you see it in the Bible. Because there are like 7 or 8 different kinds. Manasuime, Ime. Okay. And we got another occasion. Again, bucking him up. Except that the Greek here is not right. Here we got to go to the Hebrew. And it literally means because. The word's highlighted in blue is key, means because. Ata, you, I. That's how you say it in Hebrew. Ani means I. The last Hebrew word there. Let's do that again. Ki, because. Ata, you, ani, I. Now see, it's the order and the syntax in Hebrew that sometimes you don't need to have any kind of clarification or prepositions or anything because a phrase is used the same way so many times. And that means because, with you, me. Okay? And that's also reordered in different ways also in Hebrew. Okay, so he's stressing the fact that he is here. Again, bucking up Jeremiah. And in this case, he's using Jeremiah to talk to Israel and Judah. This is after the temple's down. Okay? Or when it's about to go down, sorry. Jeremiah 30. He's announcing that it's going down, Jeremiah 25:29, and it's going to go down for 70 years. And that's where Daniel was reading in Daniel 9. In the first year of Cyrus, which was the first year of his uncle, Darius the Mede, and that's Daniel 9:1. Okay. And here's Jeremiah 42. Okay. And here we go. Same phrase, and here it's plural, just like it is above left, top left of the screen in Haggai. See? So when Haggai is saying this greeting, it's a known thing, and it's especially known, as you'll notice, we've been doing a lot of verses with that phrase in Jeremiah. When what? When the temple goes down. So they associate this phrase with some kind of disaster. That God, when God says I'm with you, it means that there's a disaster that's about to happen. And as you'll see, if you look on the right hand side of the screen, we've gone through 1, 2, 3, 4. We're now in the 5th Jeremiah verse. It wasn't used so frequently in the other books. Alright? So this is a well-known phrase associated with the temple being down. Jeremiah 46 next. Same thing. Only this time he's got ego in there, so he's stressing the fact that he is God. See, ego we made, just like in Haggai above us. In the above left-hand corner. He's stressing the tetragrammaton there. Okay. And next. Okay, here he's putting himself first, just like he does in Haggai. So, in fact, that is Haggai, sorry. I wasn't looking at the location before I looked at the Greek. Okay, so let's go next to Haggai. Okay, and this is where we see it a second time. This is really important. Here's second time in our book. Okay, and the second time, it's phrased, he reverses the order. This is something I see a lot in the Bible. When they're using the same phrase, they'll change the order, and that change of order changes the meaning. It's a nuanced change in the meaning. Okay, so what's the change in the meaning between Haggai 1:13 above left and Haggai 2:4 below left? Well, pretty much, as in most languages, anything that's in a proleptic position, meaning it's in advance, it's anticipatory of an objection or of an issue, is stressed. Okay, see, now he's putting the with you in front of ego y me. Okay, so he's stressing that the God with you. He's stressing the with you first. In other words, he's behind you, defending you. He's stressing the fact that you're being defended by him. Here. And there's other meanings to it, but that's the first thing that'll come to mind, because he's the rock, the foundation, and this is the tetragrammaton translated in Greek. Okay? Here he's stressing his godness and his sovereign decision to be with them. Okay? And you can argue that it's other kinds of stress and meaning also. I'm just picking out the stuff that comes to mind as I look at it. Okay? Because you could talk about this all day long, every day. Wish that I didn't have anything else to do. Okay, so now, this is the Lord's parting command to the disciples. Is at the end of the book of Matthew. Alright? And now he's just saying, I with you. He doesn't have to tell them he's God. He doesn't have to use the I me. Just I, comma, with you. Well, wait a minute. He puts I me there. Sorry. So I with you, I am. Okay? And that really is interesting because, see, look. See, this is what I mean by God's smart. His wit is just unending. Here's ego, and here's me. I me. Sacred tetragrammaton, right? And who's inside him? When did we go inside him? Well, technically you can say that everybody's been inside God since eternity past. But especially since the cross, when all our sins went inside him. See, this is the kind of game he plays with the wording. This is why, this is snoozy. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm always with you, yeah. The simpering, syrupy language that puts you to sleep in church. Yeah, but honey, that doesn't compare to this. See, if you know the grammar, this is just a stitch. Inside, this is uvahavarato nirpalano. By his wounds we are healed. That's in Isaiah 53. Okay? Inside him, stitched inside, is uvahavarato means. We're stitched inside him. Nirpalano. Okay? So here's God on the outside, encompassing what? Being with us. We're with him. We're in him. Our sins are in him. So now we're with him forever. See, static present tense, I mean. Isn't that cool? Alright, then we got John 7:13. And there's the standard construction, metemon aimi. Okay, we saw that many times. And then this is just John talking, so technically it's not relevant, except you'll notice that this is a standard construction. Okay? And then this is God reassuring Paul. Okay, so look, sacred tetragrammaton, then with you. Ego, I am with you. Stressing the fact that he's God, he's with you. Again, same construction as above left in Haggai. Stressing the godness. Stressing his office. Okay? And then that's Paul talking, so it's not really, all that relevant. And then that's also Paul talking, and that's not really all that relevant. It's not really using the same construction. So as you can see, there were about 5 or 6 verses that weren't relevant, but a whole lot of them there were. And then in the next increment, we'll come back and start covering Haggai again. Okay, this is where we left off in episode 12. We covered verse 12 of Haggai. And basic idea was that the remnant, always a small percentage, and Zerubbabel, later represented by Mary in Luke 1, and the son of the high priest. The son of. Very targeted reference to John the Baptist, because he's the son of, and he would therefore be eligible to be a high priest, because he's going to be a son of Aaron through Elizabeth. All right? They obey the voice. In other words, they got their bucking up from Haggai, from what God caused Haggai to say. And they showed reverence. Now look at this. This is what we just covered in the last increment of this episode 13. I am with you. And that's the way Gabriel is going to greet Mary. All right? And then the Lord stirred up the spirit. This is pretty, human. This means human spirit. All right. Stirred up Zerubbabel and this Joshua, the son of. Okay? And all the remnant of the people, and they came and worked on the house of the Lord. Now notice, the prophecy of Haggai comes in on the first day of the 6th month. So this message that was going on to them, to buck them up, to encourage them to go on, they start going on the 24th day of the 6th month. So there was a process of 24 days during which Haggai was talking, and during that they got their courage. It took them 24 days. 24th of Elul was when the second temple, they started building on the foundation of the second temple. Okay, they had finished the foundation of the second temple on the 24th of Kislev, as we're going to see in the next chapter. But they started building on that foundation in 522, 521, on the 24th of Elul. Now, I can't prove it yet, but I would bet money that this is the day that Elizabeth got pregnant. It's just too rich for words. Okay? Why is there stress on the 6th month? Why does Luke pick that out? Every word in the Bible that's picked has a particular reason for being there. And as you can see from the last increment, God pays a lot of attention even to grammar rules and tweaks them. So he takes advantage of every little nuance. So when there's some stress, when something's picked out and said twice, that means you're supposed to pay attention. See, he does it here in order to bookend what's in between what he says. It's drama. This is pure drama to do it that way. All right? And it's a finessing to say it twice in the Luke passage. It actually says it 3 times, a total of 3 times. I mean, the second time he says it, which is Luke 26, it's doing double duty because he's anticipating the joke of Luke 1:36, where the angel's going to tell Mary that Elizabeth's in her 6th month. Okay, and all the scholars pick up on the fact that Luke 1:26 means that Elizabeth is in her 6th month when Gabriel goes. They pick up on that even before they get to Luke 1:36. Any of your standard commentaries on Luke 1:26 will tell you that that means Elizabeth's in her 6th month. And unfortunately, the scholars, that's as far as they go. They don't investigate the Greek to recognize that Luke is telling them additional information, that it's the 6th month on the calendar. So all this needless debate and millions of dollars wasted on incompetent, no offense, but incompetent teaching about, well, we can't know when Christ is born and we guess it's this based on astrology or astronomy or stars or some other kind of garbage. That's really pathetic. I'm hoping that in the 21st century we clean up our scholarship no matter what denomination we are. Be whatever denomination you want to be, but get your Bible right. Who cares if you're Catholic or Calvinist or anything else? Do you get the Bible right? And the answer is none of them do. How come 2,000 years have gone by and we don't know for sure, and we can't prove from Bible when Christ was born, when the evidence is right here? This just makes me wild. Okay? So now, here we go. 24th day of the 6th month. Now, if Elizabeth got pregnant then, her kid would have been born at Pentecost. Okay? Figure it out yourself. I'm going to let you go through that because I got the rest of this to do. Okay? It would have been too long a period if she got pregnant on the first day of the 6th month. Unless, there's no law that says that your first kid can take longer. There's no actual normal period of gestation for humans. There's no such thing as normal, because it's all individual based on individual biology, but there is a typical period. Okay, well, in either one of these cases you could argue it, but I would bet money this is it. When the temple started to be built, you see, they started building on the foundation on the 24th. They get the command to build on the foundation here, but they start building on the foundation there. I mean, that's a real apt metaphor for pregnancy. Okay? And then, of course, you could then argue, well, what about the 6th month on the civil calendar, which is Adar? Wouldn't that have been when Mary got pregnant? You could argue that too. It's a different 6th month. We know for sure this 6th month is Elul. So that's why I don't think it's Mary. I think it's referencing Elizabeth. This is definitely, because we know exactly what the calendar was for the Persians. This is definitely Elul right here. Okay? So now we come here, and now I'm going to have to bring up, I hope I can do this without my computer going nuts. In order to explain this, we're going to have to go to Ezra. Okay, let's get rid of the lexicon window, and let's push this down a little. Oh, I hope this works. Sometimes it makes the computer go crazy, and it's starting to slow down, so I don't know how long I can go with this. All right. 21st of the 7th month. Now, we are certain that year starts in Nisan. So we are certain that this is Itanim, a.k.a. today, Tishri, which is the month of Rosh Hashanah. So we are certain that the 21st day of the 7th month is the end of the Feast of Booths. See, Ezra's in the bottom window. 7th month came. Okay, that's the first month of the civil year. Feast of Booths. See, he's accounting time the way based on the Persian calendar, which is based on the Jewish secular sacred calendar. So that's the Feast of Booths. All right, and it started on the 14th and it ended on the 21st. Okay, so they had started when this is the year that they come back. All right, in the 7th month of the year that they came back, they celebrated the Feast of Booths. See, first day of the 7th month they began to offer burnt offering. This is just showing you that they were following the law. Okay, they don't start to build on the foundation until the 2nd year that they've gotten back. In the 2nd month, this is really important. The 2nd month is Ziv. That's the same month that our boy Zacharias is serving, the division of Abiyah in the last week. That's the same month that the first temple began construction. So they're doing this on purpose. In other words, they got there too late. When they got there into the land, they got there too late to begin constructing on the anniversary. So they wait until their 2nd year in order to begin constructing on the same month as 1 Kings 6:1. Now, did God order that, or was that their own, custom? Because they just wanted to do it on the anniversary? I don't know. But it's not being condemned here. It's just saying that's what happened. All right? So see, they began the work. In the 2nd month. All right? And then they finished the foundation. And it's not saying when here. That is covered in Haggai. It's not saying when they finished it. It's telling you when it began, but it's not telling you when it finished, when they finished the foundation. Foundation is basically a hole in the ground that steadies the building, okay, so that it won't topple. If you build something just on top of the ground and you don't dig into the ground and put your posts and everything into the ground, it's like the difference between a mobile home on top of the land and a genuine house that's built into the land, usually a foot or 2 or 3, sometimes more. Depends on the kind of construction of the walls, how tall the house is going to be and stuff like that, how deep you need to build it. All right? So you're usually you're digging ground into the ground, at least a couple of feet, probably, because the temple being where it was going to be. So it took a while to build that. And they started in the 2nd month, which is in the anniversary month of the first temple, and that's in 1 Kings 6:1. All right? And then they finish, and it doesn't say when here. Not here. It says so in Haggai. All right? Now look, this is going to be important for our passage. When they finished it, they were singing and praising and everything like that. But here's the counterpoint. A lot of the people remembered the old temple, and they were crying because it wasn't as nice as the first one. They didn't have, there's a lot of detail in 1 Kings 6 through 1 Kings 8. The gold and all the wonders and the dimensions, the whole bit. Okay, it was a wonder of the world. People came all over the world to see that temple. Even, whether they believed in God or not, it was a wonder of architecture. And so the people who came back to the land, who remembered the first temple, they were crying. They were weeping because the second temple didn't have the glory of the first. And it's really important to Haggai 2, to what God's going to say in Haggai 2. Okay? So they were crying, so that the people couldn't distinguish the sound of the joy from the weeping. And the sound was heard from far away. In other words, I don't know how well you know this, but in Oriental cultures, and especially Jewish culture, when you express yourself very loudly, very loud joy and very loud weeping, so you could hear it from very far away. Okay? Very, very loud. It was considered respectable to be loud, especially weeping and especially joy. Okay, shouting. Okay, lots of tumult. All right, in fact, they call it tumult. It's a favorite Yiddish Americanism to say that people are in tumult. All right, so that set up the problem. This is all backdrop to Haggai 2. When the enemies heard that the temple was building, they tried to stop it, and when they couldn't intimidate the locals, they went to Cyrus and Darius. And at this point, what's not said, because that you're expected to know, is that Cyrus was on campaign, and his son was facing civil war back home. And finally, his son had to even go to Egypt to try and keep Egypt, and he dies while he's there. Some claim that he committed suicide. That was Cyrus' son was Cambyses. Okay? And so then this is after Cambyses. And after Cambyses, there was this little revolt with the generals and stuff like that. Another little civil war with Pseudo-Smyrtus. And that's when Ahasuerus comes in. Okay? And this is more story, but he's basically telling you, look, there were 30 years, not 30, 539 was in the end, near the end of Bul, 11th of Bul, which is called March of Shavan. That was when Cyrus took over Babylon. Gobi Ras, marching in underneath the city. And let's see, it was about 530 or so when Cyrus dies, 529, 530, somewhere in that range. Okay, and so then they're filling in the gap to get you down to 522, which is where we're picking up at Haggai. Okay, this is all the fighting that went on. how they tried to get the king to go along with what they were saying. This is before Esther now. Okay? This is also before Esther up here in Haggai. All right? So let's dispense with Ezra and go back to Haggai now. So this is now 522. The civil war is over in Persia. You've got Ezra is on the throne now. And this is before Esther, the generation before Esther. And this is just after Booths has ended. So now again, God directs Haggai to say something. So again, look, he goes to Zerubbabel and to the son of the high priest. See, a clear parallel to John the Baptist there. Okay? And to the remnant of the people. See, now it's no longer just these two, but the remnant of the people, meaning everybody, very few Jews came back with them to Jerusalem. So he's calling everybody else that came back the remnant of the people. Most of the Jews stayed behind in Babylon, and some of them went to the areas where Sennacherib had moved the 10 tribes. Okay? So there were Jews in Dispersia all over the area that's now called Persia at this time. Okay? Who is left? This is a play on remnant. Who is left among you? This is a play on remnant. And he's talking straight to these people. Okay, upper blue. Who is left among you? Is talking to the lower blue in Ezra 3:12. Who saw this temple in its former glory, and how do you see it now? Does it seem like nothing in comparison? In other words, God saying, "Hi, I saw your tears." Okay, but now take courage, Zerubbabel, and also to the son. See, Zerubbabel, Mary by application, Joshua son of John the Baptist by application, and his father's going to do the talking for him because the kid's just born. And all you people of the land, take courage. That's going to be the message of John the Baptist to the land. Okay? Keep doing the work. Don't feel bad about how it looks. For I am with you. This is the second time he's saying it. We just saw that. Okay? This time he's reversing the order. He's saying meta and then ego ime. Whereas back up here in 113, it's ego ime meta su. Alright? It's reversed. Alright? So he's reversing the order. He's stressing the withness. Because he's stressing that they need to keep working. See, we're always discouraged about something. It's very easy. And then the thing that's hard about discouragement is you always have a justifiable reason to be discouraged. And when I make these videos, I always kick myself. Because I'm seeing things and I understand things I can't properly express. And I always think, I did that badly. You hear me be critical of others. Honey, I'm 10 times more critical of myself. I'm always seeing things I do wrong. Okay, this is when I need to remember this the most. Same thing's true for you. There are 1,000 discouragements in every day. We have an idea, and it's always better than we can execute. We can never really obey God. And this whole story about obeying and all that stuff, it's not really about obeying. It's about trusting. You will always be disappointed in yourself and others. God will make good on it. That's what he's saying here. And that's the only way to get through a day. The longer you live, the more you're going to find out that this life is just not worth living. It really isn't. You're fooled by it the first 20, 30 years of your life. And as you start to get 40, 50 years old, you realize that, hey, this is one big joke down here. All the money in the world, all the fame in the world, all the niceness in the world is all one big joke. And you just wish you could die. Okay. And then everything you do is not good enough anymore. Yeah. This is when you need to remember this. God will make good on it. So that's why it's reversed order, which we saw in the last increment. It's metasu is what he covers first. Elohim. In other words, with you I am. He's stressing the with you first. So that's why you can be encouraged to keep on making the videos, keep on doing whatever you're doing. He'll make good on it. All right? Now, in order to stress that, he calls them back to when they came out of Egypt. Now, for him to do that is telling us that the persecution that the Jews are facing at this time is just as bad as when Pharaoh was coming after them with his army. And they had their backs to what they called the Reed Sea. All right? That's how bad it was. And he's saying, I'm right here. And this word abiding in your midst is Hebrew qereb, and it has a connotation of living inside you. In the middle of a group. Do not fear. So you see, this whole I am with you thing, when you hear I am with you in the Bible, the next thing you know immediately that it's in the context of a bad situation, not a good one. That's why when the angel greets Mary, okay, and that's why we know that we're looking at Haggai 2. When the angel greets Mary and he says, the Lord is with you, she tenses up. She's going to take it. She's going to accept whatever happens to her, but she's expecting to hear something bad. And that's why it says in, Luke 1:29, she was perplexed. It's not just perplexed. She's troubled, but she's steeling herself to take whatever the bad news is. Okay? And, why we sugar over her situation and, present Mary as this smiley person with no brain drives me nuts. Okay? Why we present being pregnant with Christ. Oh, it's an honor. Well, yeah, it is, but honey, that's only after you're dead that it's an honor. The whole time you're alive, it's a nightmare. And nobody stresses that enough. I wish they did. We're missing the whole meaning of Mary, but I'll do my tirade on that when I get to the Magnificat. But you got this. I am with you means bad news. It's bucking up. It's so bad that it's just as bad as when you came out of Egypt with your backs to the wall of the sea. My spirit is within you. Right smack dab in the middle. qereb. Don't fear. Don't be afraid.